One. All right, how you guys doing? This is your man Bogy. We are here today, April 16th, 2022, season 2 of season 2, episode 28 of the CREW Afterhours. And this is a very special one because this CREW After Hours is with none other than ALUCARD. If you take his name and spell it backwards, we're hanging out with Dracula. Wow! So, I'm with my man GB in the house. What up, GB?
Yo, what's up, guys?
Got J.F.E.W, player one with a confused face in the previous recording. What's up, brother?
Feeling a lot better now.
And our special mystery guest, ALUCARD in the house. What's up, brother?
What's up, everybody? Woo, feels good to be back on YouTube, but I'm kind of missing Atari Boy 69 over here. You know, that made Javier turn into a ghost.
Hey, listen, Derek did an amazing job. Really appreciate it coming on and, helping us out with, trying to stump the guys. All right. So, ALUCARD. So, he's going to be talking about his first experiences with video gaming, which, a lot of us here definitely had those experiences. And we definitely want to hear, from ALUCARD himself, what that was like. So, ALUCARD, brother, take it away.
Alrighty, and I'm going to try, for the record, for anybody who's over 38 years old, to do the Reader's Digest version of this, since nobody else knows what that means, because, yeah, as you all know, I never, ever, ever, ever stop talking. So we're going to get started with that. I'm throwing my tier hat. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the first video game I ever remember playing.
Cool.
And then what led off to me getting really into video games, RPGs, and I'm going to try to go ahead and do this lightly. I grew up in Los Angeles, and when I was a kid, I would say I was probably 4 years old, and my brother's friend had one of those old Game & Watches. It was the Donkey Kong one that you flip up and it goes from the bottom to the top. You know what I mean? That really, really old school one, right?
Wow.
So I saw this, and this is in the 80s, and I was like, holy shit! I'm like, this is freaking amazing, because seeing it go from one screen to another, I literally borrowed it. I played it every day. I played it on the school bus. I played it at home. I played it until I could master that. So that's the first technical video game I ever played. After I was done doing that, before I ever had a video game system, I used to go to the arcade. Now, this is kind of a little funny story. Unlike today, where everything's a little bit more anal retentive in certain ways, back then, my dad used to send me to the store to go buy cigarettes for him. Yes, you could do that when you were my age.
That is old school.
I did too.
Yep. So he'd write me a letter saying it's okay to sell my son cigarettes. I'd be like, 8 years old, and what he would do is he said, buy the cigarettes and you could keep the change. And that was like, okay, sweet, because I was one of those kids who hung out with a bunch of punks at the arcade, and that's what it was. So I'd go buy him cigarettes. I didn't smoke at that time, put the pack in my pocket, and I would play Street Fighter 2 every single day. Nonstop, I would be playing that game. In fact, there was a time when I was playing that game. I remember there was like a line, and you would put your quarters on the front, right?
Yes.
So that next person know what's up.
Who's next?
There would be these kids, and they were way fucking bigger than me, bro. Like all standing there. And I remember this one day, there was this kid. He was wearing leather and a leather jacket. Like he looked like he was like a reject out of Greece. He thought he was all super like pimp and stuff. And he's playing, yeah. And he's using what's the guy's name? Gosselin, I think it is. It was the long arms.
Dawson, yeah.
Him. He was shooting him, and I remember he was like whooping everybody. Now I knew I had a limited amount of quarters, and I wanted to use those as far as I can go. And I practice this game every day, and I'm OCD as hell.
Nice.
So I get up to this guy, and I'm gonna get to the game stuff. And I put my quarter into the machine, okay? And the guy just looks at me, and he just, smirks off like, yeah, this little pipsqueak's gonna beat me. So we're playing actually Street Turbo, and I'm using Ryu or Ken, one or the other, and I start just messing this guy up. So in Turbo, when you do a Hadoken, you could jump in the air, freeze in the air, do another Hadoken, jump up again and do another one and again, and you go all the way above the screen and come back from the bottom. So what I did was I started with doing like literally 20 Hadokens all the way up the screen. So no matter where he went or tried to hit me, he couldn't get me. And then I'd stop doing it and I do all these backflips and knocking him out. And basically, I schooled the guy. He got so mad that this kid who was a teenager, probably maybe 16 or so, picked me up and lifted me up against the wall when we were done. He literally had me against the wall. I kicked him. This all happened. Kicked him in his groin. He went down, and then I ran off with my quarters. So playing arcade games got me really into gaming because, you know, back then it was old school. When kids would, when we were off of school, that's where you went to. But there was always the little thuggy kids and all the stuff. And that's how I grew up, with a lot of little thuggy kids just trying to play my video games and have some fun come out for me. So then I was like, okay, yeah. I'm like, okay, I'm really into these video games or whatever. I'm into this. And then finally what happened that really, that cemented everything possible was actually not Sega, it was actually Nintendo, because my dad came up to me and said, this family wants to help us and they're going to buy you anything you want. And he's like, do you want a Nintendo? And I said no for some reason. I don't know why.
Whoa.
Yeah, as a kid, I said no. He goes, why not? And I think it's because I felt bad and I wanted my dad to give me it and I didn't want them to give me it, like, because I didn't know the family. So then afterwards, I didn't get the Nintendo, and 3 months later, everybody's playing. And I'm like so jealous. And then finally, I'm like, okay, I really want a Nintendo now. So the following Christmas, I got the Nintendo deck, and it came with Mario, Duck Hunt, gun, everything, and that's what started it all. I started playing Mario. I beat that game 1 billion times. I was playing Ninja Gaiden. I was playing any cheapy game like that you could find, like the Addams Family, Fester's Quest. I was playing everything I could get my hands on. Nintendo was cementing me. Eventually, from there, I heard about Sega, and my dad just bought me a Super Nintendo, and I hadn't had a Sega Genesis yet, okay? And he bought me a Super Nintendo with Super Mario World, which I loved, but my neighbor upstairs, who was probably 40, had a Sega Genesis. And he invited me up. We used to watch Ernest movies, you know, Ernest Scared Stupid, those old school movies. Yeah, me too. So he invites me up to his crib, and he's playing Sonic the Hedgehog, and I'm playing Sonic, and I'm losing my freaking mind. I'm like, this is the coolest game I've ever played in my life. Then I was playing Golden Axe and Phantasy Star. He had a whole deck of games. So he said, I'll make you a deal. Super Nintendo for sold out. I'll give you the Sega Genesis with all of these games for just your Super Nintendo and Mario World. That's it. So even though it was bad for him to trade with the kid, I decided, you know what, I'm going to do it. So I got the Sega Genesis. My dad got pissed. And then he said, he went up to the guy and he said, well, he said he wanted it. My dad got so mad that he went and bought me a Super Nintendo again. So I ended up having a Super Nintendo and a Genesis. So I was the kid on the bus where people were like,
awesome.
Yeah, people are like, you know, the Sega does put Nintendo, this and that. I'd be like, well, guess what? I got Mario Kart and I got Shinobi. I got this and I got this. So I was the kid down the middle who loved both of them. I admit, as you guys all know, I'm more of I go a bit more towards Sega. Sega's like my true love. But basically, those are what cemented everything in. One thing I want to point out when we were talking earlier is this red thing behind me right here. I was talking about here. I'm going to move the phone for just a sec. This big red thing right here, okay? It's right behind there are a million boxes. Now, this is stuff my brother's been holding for me for about, let's say, 16 years. Not counting the stuff you guys saw on the show, on my YouTube show or whatever, but that he's been holding for me. Back there is where this is what got me into retro gaming, is where the 500 Atari games are, ColecoVision, Intellivision, Atari Jaguar, 3DO, Drink, Saturn, plug and plays, all of the things you would think of, Odysseys, everything. And that's the part that I wanted to get to that was really interesting. You're wondering, like, where did I get all of these things, right? Well, if I still have a minute, Bogy?
Yeah. But
what'd you say? Don't worry about it.
What'd you say?
No, I was asking if I still had a moment, because, I talk a lot, so, okay. So, well, anyways, what I was going to say was...
Yeah, we got a few more minutes. Go ahead.
Don't worry about bullies. Don't worry.
So, my brother and I used to work for a company called Filter Queen, okay? And I hear BP. Okay, so anyways, I worked for the company. I got top 4 in the country in sales. I was really good. It was a system you sold in people's houses. You did demos. Now, here's the gig. At the end of the demo, if people bought the machine, you'd ask them to trade in their vacuum cleaner. And if they trade in their vacuum cleaner, they got $200 off the cost of the filter clean. And then they would take the and they would sell it to a back shop somewhere. Well, what my brother did, which he was fully allowed to, is he'd go into these homes and he'd be talking to them and he'd be like, you could trade in a vacuum. They're like, well, we don't have a vacuum. He's like, well, I'll take any kind of trade-ins. And this one person goes, I got some old video games. It was these really old people that he found. So they take out a ColecoVision and they take out an Atari and he takes it in trade and then he comes home and he brings it to me. So then every demo that he sells a machine at, he comes home with Magnavox Odysseys. He came home with Vectrixes, everything, all these trade-ins, and he gave them all to me. So I ended up stockpiling all these game systems. And then eventually, over the years, I got so many. And then when EV Games shut down, we bought 500 Atari games all at once for 50 piece. And we walked out with the box that was so heavy that both of us had to carry it. And I've had those sitting in there ever since. The reason my brother did that was I always said how good at video games I. Go ahead.
I remember you told me this story. You said, but you repeat this again. 500 games at 50 cents each.
Yes.
Damn, $250.
How much?
Yeah.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah, I don't know how much that equals, but I mean that's a lot of games.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot, dude. So we're walking to the mall, we're carrying these freaking boxes, and people are like, what are those? And they're Atari games. So we get home and do what we call, this is like our cleansing. This is what we used to do. We take out all the old games and we sat there for hours and clean it with Q-tips and alcohol, get everything clean. It was kind of like me and my brother had this thing where every time we bought a new game, we would open the game, read the manual from front to back, pop in the game, and then play the game. It was kind of like our bonding that we did. So
That's how we used to play games back in the day too. Read the manual first.
That's what made me mad when they got rid of manuals in games.
Yeah, it's because they have tutorials now. They have enough space for that. But the manuals are just like another collector's item, you know?
Manuals.
Awesome.
Oh.
Yeah, they're wonderful. See, the thing was that Derek had originally said, "Oh, you're so good at video games." He goes, "Let's see how you are at the games I played when I was a kid," and that's why he brought me those old video games. That's when I started playing Frogger and all these different ones. And that's the story I did on my YouTube when I was playing Mousetrap on the ColecoVision, and I was crying for 5 or 6 hours because the screen was going out, and I froze it. It's like, okay, you're legit. You're legit. You're doing good. So all these things I've collected, and what's the best part about this whole story is. All of these years later, my brother, no matter what we've been through and gone through, he has kept every single one of them. I got school clothes from when I was 15 in there. I got love letters from when I was a kid. Oh. So I'm thankful to my brother Derek to actually be able to have all this stuff. Whoa. And that would be kind of a bit of getting at the end, a bit of the history. The only last thing I want to say is I wanted to say that when I was a kid, I never got into RPGs much. I tried playing Mystic Quest. Well, it's so funny.
Who is this iPhone guy here?
What?
This iPhone guy.
Is that Bud Bundy?
He just came out of nowhere. You guys invite somebody?
Wow. I'm not the one with the invite, buddy. You're the one.
Yeah, but you guys can send the link to somebody else.
Nope.
Wait, is there somebody on here?
Oh, yeah.
Somebody else on here. I don't know.
Any glitch?
I don't know. ALUCARD, go ahead and finish up. Go ahead.
Okay, so leaving the finale, I know you want me to start with the history of all these things.
Yeah.
You know where it started. You know where I got into video games. Sega is what won my heart, but I loved Mario Kart, and everything else. When I was a kid, I couldn't quite get into RPGs because I didn't have a strategy guide. And when you were playing a game like either Zelda or like Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, like I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea what this game even was. And I remember as a kid, I would just get annoyed and turn the system off. What ended up making me
Yeah.
go back was way
complicated.
later. And yeah, I played Final Fantasy VII, and I couldn't get into it either. And then what basically happened was I bought Final Fantasy VIII. Me and Derek played it for about 140 hours, and then from that point on, I
Damn.
became obsessed with the RPGs, and I played every one you can possibly find. So yeah, now
Wow.
me and Derek are the only video game dorks in our family. Nobody else.
So you got paid overtime for playing 140 hours?
I should have a lot of times. Yeah,
so-
dude. He would go to work and I would be grinding the whole time, trying to build up the character so we could beat the final boss. And Derek would come home from work. You know, he was only like 30 years old. You know, I was like 16 or something. But yeah, I grew up around video games. I've always loved them. For me, they were a way to enter this wonderful world, and you weren't really thinking about anything other than what was in front of you. And it's imagination, and that's never changed. I'm the same at 38. I'll be the same at 48. And believe it or not, it's been 8 months since I played a video game. That's like, that's crazy. 8 months.
So does Derek also still collect games and play, or?
Well, okay, so Derek loves games, and he plays them, absolutely. He's played all the Resident Evils, all the Marios, everything with me. But he gets games, but he gets them for me. So all the collection back here is all mine. So, for example, 2 years ago when he was stationed somewhere, he found an old mom and pop shop. He found Michael Jackson's Moonwalker and both in the Final Fantasy games for the Super Nintendo, and he got them for $15 at a mom and pop shop, and he held them all the time so I would have them when I came here.
But Michael Jackson's Moonwalker came out for Genesis, not for Super Nintendo.
No. I know that for Genesis. I meant that he got me the Final Fantasy for Super Nintendo. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, for Sega Genesis, yeah. And Moonwalker's gone up in price too, and I love that game. So, yeah, so it's pretty sweet. But other than that, I'm doing good. This is like phase 3.0, third chapter of my life, upstate New York.
Yeah. All right. Get it, man. Hey, life is what you make of it, man. So keep on going forward, brother.
You look a lot happier. I think I told you this before that when I sent you a message, I said you look so much happier now. I'm so happy that you're doing better.
Bro, it's like how do I explain it to you? Vegas is like a virus, okay? And it's like the only way to get rid of it is to leave it. That's how I feel about it. Vegas was okay, somewhat okay, but the main problem was, hold on.
So Alucard, how about we leave that for the for the round table? Yeah. All right.
1 second, guys. 1 second.
So that scene of Alucard when he was walking by the pool and he was really sad was really true.
Sure. Okay. First of all, we're gonna go ahead and since Alucard go ahead and finish his topic here, and he did it in about 15 minutes. So. Kind of waiting for him to come back on, but I want to know who the hell iPhone is. Who is? So you guys send the link to somebody?
I don't know, man, but I recognize that living room. I recognize the shape of the face. I recognize that. Ooh, yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and finish this. We're gonna finish this topic here. And then we're going to go ahead and find out who the hell this iPhone guy is, because I feel a little uncomfortable that, some stranger comes on. All right. So thank you so much, Alucard, for sharing that with us. And again, a lot of us here are gamers. So everybody has a beginning and a love for video gaming. So we definitely, heard yours here, and I really appreciate you coming on. All right, guys. So this is your man, Bogy. And we're going to finish off with our sayings. And we got J.F.E.W saying.
No, said.
And G.B. saying. And we got ALUCARD saying.
Enough said.
And iPhone, I don't know who the hell you are, but we'll get to the bottom of this. But this is your man, Bogy, saying thank you guys so much for watching here. The CREW After Hours. Enough said.